All right, good evening. Welcome, everyone. This is our regular town council meeting for September 4th, and we're going to start out with our roll call.
Janet, Lee,
Here.
Nancy,
Here.
Lee,
Here.
Edwards,
Here.
Roxos, here, Day.
Here.
All right, we want to welcome everybody to come out and spend some time to see how this works. We've got some important people here in the audience. We have Cassidy and Kenley and Sarah, Megan, Lillian, Hannah, and Elena. Are you guys all there? Great. Well, what we're going to do is first we're going to have our invocation. We're going to have Pastor Nandy from Redeemed Heart Church here in Haymarket come up and give our invocation. And then afterwards, we're going to have these young ladies come up and give our Pledge of Allegiance. So with that, welcome, Pastor. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about the church, where you're meeting, your times, and then lead us in the word of prayer.
Yes, sir. Just first, thank you, everyone, for inviting me. I really appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate the parents being here and supporting the kids. And that's the greatest joy that we have for our children in the next generation. So thank you. My name is Simon Dandy. I'm the pastor of Redeemed Heart Church. We are a new church startup in Haymarket, Virginia. We were founded in 2017. We're meeting in our home, and we're about authentic relationships. So just being there for each other when we need help. So I'll lead us in a reading, and this is from Luke 22. Jesus prays on the Mount of Olives. Then, accompanied by his disciples, Jesus left the upstairs room, went as usual to the Mount of Olives. There he told them, "Pray that you will never give in to temptation." He walked away about a stone's throw, knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, please take this cup of suffering away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine." Then an angel from heaven appeared, strengthened him, and he prayed more fervently as he was in such agony of the Spirit that his sweat fell to the ground like great drops of blood. So let's think about that real quick. Jesus is praying so earnestly, knowing what's coming. He's about to be betrayed by his disciples and crucified the next day. So he is praying so earnestly that drops of blood are essentially coming out of his eyes. So let's think about that from a father's perspective. I have my kids here. I have three, blessed with three boys, Christopher, James, and Daniel. And I just think about the sacrifice that God put out for them. I'm trying to think about me sending my son out, who was without blame, to be slaughtered the next day. And I just want you to think about the love that God has for every one of you, knowing the suffering that his son went through to die for you and me. It's just amazing. I can't even fathom it. So I'm just blessed to be here to talk to you about it. But before I pray, I wanted to just share with you a quick story from someone who I really admire. This is a story from, his name is Ravi, and he was at a conference. So he met somebody there who came and wanted to speak to him. She was a young girl, she was a foreigner, and she said, "I wanted to talk to you about my mom and dad." You see, her mom married her dad in an arranged marriage. And my mom and dad, they were in an arranged marriage. So if you don't know what that means, it's pretty much your parents get together and say, "Okay, your daughter and my son are going to get married." It's nothing like the marriages that we see here today. It's not necessarily a love marriage. So the woman told him that her dad was very jealous of her mom for being as beautiful as she was. And he, one night, while they were in their bedroom, he took a cup of acid and threw it on her face, and then he fled. He fled. So this daughter was coming to him and trying to explain and understand why that was the case. Now, it gets funnier because the father comes back. 20 years later, the father comes back and says to the mom, "Please take care of me, I'm dying of cancer." And what does the daughter say? She's outraged, as I would be. But she said, as a devoted follower of Jesus, "I will care for him and take care of him." And she did until he died. Now, I tell you this story because it's about morality versus a redeemed heart. And that's what we're about, redeemed hearts. So morality in this situation would say, he gets what he deserves. A redeemed heart would say, let me care for him, his physical body, but also care about his soul. Morality would say that his request is unreasonable. A redeemed heart would say that the reason by which we live is the heart of mercy, and that, thankfully, does not keep a ledger. Morality says, make your own judgments. But a redeemed heart says, do not judge, lest you want to be judged as well. In short, morality is just a double-edged sword. It cuts the person who wields the sword, even as it seeks to mangle the target. I leave you with this. We are all created in God's image, regardless of our race, ethnicity. So how can I please God? What can I do? There's three things that I'll tell you that I found that helps me. And that's living by faith, being obedient to him and his word, and dying to ourselves daily, and letting Jesus live through us. So I encourage you today, each and every one of you, even the kids, I encourage you to repent of your sins and call on the name of Jesus, our Savior. I encourage you to look at your lives and to see if it glorifies God. I ask you to pray, often and earnestly, for God's wisdom, and for God to bring the strongholds in your life. And you all know what they are. I don't need to point it out. I have some as well. To starve your flesh and feed the Spirit. How do you do that? You get in God's Word. And lastly, encourage yourself daily. Encourage yourself. You never really hear it, but encourage yourself, because we are in a spiritual battle. We just can't see it, but God is with us. So let me close in prayer. Dear God, thank you for these people in this room. Thank you for the town council. We just ask that you be with them tonight. Make them, just make decisions that glorify you, God. We ask that you be with our friends, our family who aren't here today. And also, work in their hearts, soften their hearts so they can hear your voice, God. We ask that you help us not to give into temptation as Jesus told us. And we ask you to help us see things for what they are. We ask you to surround us with the right people and just renew our minds each and every day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pastor. All right. So, young ladies, if you'd like to, I guess, come up here to the side, we'll have a microphone for them. And if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Great job. Thank you all very much.
Mayor, I know it's not on the agenda, but do you mind if we take a moment of silence in remembrance of John McCain?
Oh, absolutely. So if we could all stand for just a moment of silence. All right, thank you all very much. A couple changes around on our published agenda. We're going to be adding a proclamation on line item number 3B of our action items. And We'll be needing to add a closed session. I'll put that after council member time at the very end for a closed session. And any other adjustments? I think that does it. So with that, moving on, our first item is our minutes approval. We have our August 6, 6:30 public hearing minutes on page 1. And then also page 8, we have our regular meeting minutes from August 6 for the 7 p.m. regular scheduled town council meeting. So
Mayor, I make a motion to approve our public hearing August 6, 2018 minutes, as well as our regular meeting August 6, 2018 minutes.
Second the motion.
it's seconded by Councilwoman Bond Cavazos. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Our next item is our citizens' time. For our citizens, looks like we might have a few new faces here, but this will be the time if you come up to the podium, if for the record, your name and address that we could put on, and this is a chance to hear from you all. So with that, I'll go ahead and open it for our citizens. Okay.
Mayor, we have a sign-in sheet, I believe.
Oh. Apologies, yeah. Okay, first one is, well, Justin, there's going to be, yeah, afterwards. So the first one up would be Maureen Carroll, 6862 Track Court.
I think it's on, is it? It's very
Yes.
hard to hear it in the back. All right, Maureen Carroll, 6862 Track Court. Mr. Mayor, members of the board, fellow citizens of Haymarket. On Washington Street, there's a nice large sign at the undeveloped green space called The Park, announcing the upcoming Haymarket Day. There's also a sign outside of Town Hall. For this town of approximately 1,800 people, there were no equivalent signs announcing the May 1 election for mayor and town council members. Actively advertising an election encourages people to go to the polls and vote. Actively advertising an election is a sign of transparency and honesty. Because the May 1st election received so little advertisement, because the last election reflected the requisite lack of transparency and honesty needed for a healthy democracy, I believe the top vote getter on the town council received a total of 117 votes out of a town of 1,800 people. These statistics do not speak well for the health of democracy in Haymarket. However, these sad statistics are in sharp contrast to the numbers of active and involved townspeople who showed up to speak against the zoning changes and the special use permits at the August 6 public hearing. Many engaged and articulate citizens spoke against the special use permits at August 6 at the public hearing. Your job as town council members is to listen to the citizens of Haymarket rather than the Crossroad Village contractors. There have been repeated false claims about what is by right in the town of Haymarket. No special use is by right. There is no right to drive-through restaurants on the proposed lands. Our zoning laws do not automatically allow drive-throughs because of the potential damages to the community. Many citizens spoke loudly and insistently that they did not want those special use permits granted. Was this discussion of special use permits moved to this month's meeting with the hope and assumption that citizens wouldn't show again and speak their minds? Town council should have simply denied the special use permits at the last meeting. We know that drive-through restaurants result in 3 times more traffic than restaurants that are not drive-through. Traffic gridlock in Haymarket will increase and worsen if the town council approves these special use permits. People living in Haymarket and those visiting town have experienced daily traffic delays and frustration due to the current street configuration. Imagine the same street with 1,000 more cars turning in and out of the proposed acres if these politically postponed special use permits are granted. Also, the environmental effect of extra cars is significant and detrimental. Cars burn gasoline, which fosters air pollution. The extra traffic resulting from granting these special use permits will further dirty our air, negatively affect our breathing, and be another contributor to global warming through carbon dioxide emission. We're seeing that this week with this incredible weather. A vote for these drive-through special use permits is a vote to dirty the air we breathe and to further climate change. Haymarket, as defined in the town's comprehensive plan, is a walking town. Our town council has advertised it as everyone's hometown. Your job is to represent all the people of Haymarket. Please vote to protect everyone by voting against granting these special use permits. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Jim Carroll, 6862 Track Court.
Jim Carroll, 6862 Track Court here in Haymarket, and we are related, but only through marriage. We were unable to be here for the August 6th Town Council meeting. We did, however, take the opportunity to watch some of it with relatives in Connecticut. We were pleased by the turnout and by the overwhelming number of people who spoke against the plans for the Crossword Village as it is presently constituted. As I recall, that evening there were 3 letters written in favor of those plans. There were a couple who spoke independently with one another in favor of the plan, and the man who happens to chair the Planning Commission, who also tried to justify the Planning Commission's decision to pass this boondoggle on to you. Those 6 represented those who were in favor of it. Speaking against those plans were 25 other people, as well as a letter which Maureen and I wrote and had entered into the record. Each of those 25 people came here for a public hearing to express what the public was feeling to the town council and the mayor of this city. You chose to ignore them. One further question in our letter was never addressed by you or the Planning Commission. Why were these plans so unnecessarily rushed to this stage? They were poorly conceived, they were poorly vetted. VDOT, the study that VDOT offered, and the Prince William Board, the school board, were strongly against it. The citizens of Haymarket that night, nearly 80% of them, were against those plans as constituted. I would like to add that even more might have come to that August 6th meeting, but we were told by any number of people in our neighborhood, Haymarket Station, there's no point in talking to them because they won't listen. Unfortunately, those people in our neighborhood proved right. You did not listen. 80% of the townspeople that night spoke and asked you to vote against the Crossroad Village plans. Haymarket's poorer for your dereliction of duty.
And our next person would be Miss Laura Newman, 14657 Red House Road. No, you don't.
So I came to the August 6th meeting to speak out against the drive-through and special use permits, and that's why I'm here again. It's not much different than what the previous gentleman said. The overwhelming majority of the people spoke out against the restaurants. The drive-through restaurants. Most people weren't opposed to putting restaurants in there, which are by right. Traffic is bad enough in Haymarket, and I get there's a benefit from the meals tax, but from the drive-through restaurants bringing more dollars in. but the cost associated to the town far outweighs the benefits of these special use permits. Please listen to your residents, and please do not approve these special use permits. You heard the 80% numbers that said they were against it. Listen to your constituents, listen to the people of the town of Haymarket, and please do not approve these special use permits. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremiah Sahlberg, 6917 Jockey Club Lane.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you all for serving on the town council, and I'm here. I've been at the last couple of these meetings, and I'm here to reiterate my viewpoint, which is to make the recommendation to turn down that special use permit for the drive-throughs. Like the folks before me had said, that those are things that I personally don't want to see here, and the folks that I've talked to seem to generally agree. I haven't heard anyone in my neighborhood that has pushed for the drive-throughs. So I just want to share that feedback as my first point. The second point, which is not related to Crossroads, but more of a citizen time, is the northbound sidewalks on St. Paul. There's about a 10-foot stretch that doesn't connect to the sidewalks. I'd love to see that finished. We walk almost once a day, if not twice a day, around there. Hate cut through the grass, so we kind of cut around, but I'd love to see that finished at some point.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other citizens? Looks like Mr. Weir.
Bob Weir, 6853 St. Paul Drive, hopefully for the last time on Crossroads Village. I've looked at the packet and the notes, and nothing has changed in a month. The only thing that's changed is the delineation of dumpster pads that should have been shown at the outset, a comment I made several months ago, and the delineation of patio seating. Nothing else has changed. What's interesting is that in the limited time available to the public over the last couple of months, it's almost impossible for an individual or a group of individuals to point out all of the deficiencies, problems, or potential issues with the application. Echoing what was said earlier, this has been processed with undue haste and inadequate review. Answers haven't been provided, documents haven't been provided, not only to the public but to the Planning Commission, at least in a timely fashion, and the proper questions haven't been asked. The process has been marked by deficiency from the outset. In looking at it, it occurred to me this week that one of the things I hadn't even looked at because I ran out of time, because there were so many other things to look at, was whether or not the parking was adequate. And the parking for the highest allowable use is not. If those buildings are developed at their highest allowable use, you're 71 spots short in a parking lot with limited circulation, and it's just not going to work. You're going to compound the traffic issue with a parking issue that might very well make the traffic issue even worse as it backs up onto Route 55. This thing was not ready from prime time from day one, and it still isn't. And I think you guys really need to take a long, hard look at it, and there is, under no circumstances, should the restaurant SUPs be approved. That's my opinion. And I'll stop harping on Crossroads Village because I think I know where it's going. I'm going to note a few other things. I noted in your packet that you're going to consider the possible transfer of some playground equipment from QBE. I hope that's not the case. If any council member wants it, I have the inspection report from the county. Let me give you the highlights.
It's not being considered, Mr. Weir, just to let you know.
I'm going to give you the highlights because
Your citizens' time, I'll just let you know it's not considered.
Let me give you some of the highlights just in case you're not aware. And these are from the inspector. The equipment poses a significant and immediate risk. Should be replaced or removed, it's not in compliance with standard safety specs. It is, quote unquote, extremely dangerous for use right now, and I don't recommend reusing this playground equipment anywhere else after removal. There were head entrapment issues, gates missing, swings and chains not of commercial grade, S-hooks worn beyond the recommended limit. It goes on and on and on. for your futures plan, I took quick note of two things. There's suddenly a desire to revise the zoning ordinance. This is the zoning ordinance you spent tens of thousands of dollars on not more than a couple of years ago to revise, with very little public input. I warned you at the time it was poorly written, and I guess that's come to pass. So I'm just curious how much you intend to spend this time on rewriting it. And last but not least, I see within the Futures program that you want to adopt a CIP. Well, I'm glad you're admitting you don't have one, although I would suspect it places your proffer acceptance in danger. And that's probably something you should have thought of or considered more broadly than you did, because the comment was made. And your cash proffers from Crossroads Village might be open to challenge, or might not have to be paid by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, sir. Anybody else would like to speak?
Good evening, Council. Joseph Passanello, address on file. Put my glasses on. I'm not going to read my comments, but I just want to echo what I've heard this evening about Crossroads Village. My comments are for the record. They're in the Inside Nova letter to the editor, page 12. Plenty of copies in the back. I'd like to make some additional comments, though, regarding this evening's agenda. First, the mission, vision, core values, and strategic initiatives. Overall, I think it's a good start, identifying and communicating what you plan to do over the next 22 months. However, one question, are these in priority order? If so, how did you determine that order? Please explain. Haymarket core values. With respect to loyalty, to whom or what do you mean to give loyalty? Loyalty, like respect, is earned as it is given. To each other, to the leadership, to the citizens of the town. As a standalone statement, it is not clear what the intent is here. You already swear allegiance to the Constitution of Virginia and the U.S. Perhaps during your discussion you can share why this is added to the list and explain what you mean. Same explanation for the addition of leadership, although I think leadership is very important. And again, I agree about teamwork. Teamwork is very important, but I would caution everyone against falling prey to groupthink. And given your anticipated revenue increases because of the development on the western end of town, I believe you owe it to taxpayers to debate in your strategic initiatives a plan for elimination of town real estate taxes. And I'd recommend it over a period of 5 years. Now, update of the comprehensive plan. Shouldn't that have already been done prior to approvals to Crossroad Village? As the comp plan reflects the will of the people and not councils, how can you rationalize voting for Crossroads Village when the project does not align with the current plan? Isn't the process backwards? A couple more things. Elimination of the position handling community events, business relations, and the museum. I'm perplexed by this unanimous decision at the very first meeting of the new council in July. What is the logic behind this administrative action, given that the prior council, which 4 of you were members of, and agreed to include funding in the fiscal budget and voted to approve? Why and when the change? The new part-time position noted in the agenda. I'm just curious, there's an unnamed person who's the likely choice. Okay, you went through the process. Who is this person? But where was this opening posted and when? How was it communicated? How many people applied? I'm just curious to hear during the discussion. As far as Haymarket Day, the Battlefield Marching Band is being charged $25 for a spot in our parade for the 2nd year in a row. Now, even though it's a nominal fee, was a waiver considered? I'm not sure. Did you know that they are paid $500 each year to participate in the Manassas Parade? It's a very costly endeavor to muster and get everybody to the parade. Is this how we support our schools and children? As we did last year, I have a personal check with me tonight to sponsor their entry, and I will leave it with the business manager. And finally, the Code of Ethics. Please note Code of Ethics number 18. Review orally and in public at the annual organizational meeting each of these principles. Did this oral recitation occur at that meeting in July? What about the August meeting? If not, isn't the council in violation of its own code of ethics? Perhaps one could make an allowance for the 3 new members not being fully aware, but the 4 carryover members should know better. What will council do? Will council reprimand and censure itself for failure to adhere to the code? If not, isn't this an example of selective application of enforcement? Thank you for your time and attention.
And thank you for your comment, sir.
I'm going to use that address on file thing.
There you go.
Never heard that used before, and I don't want to have to keep saying it. I'm Dottie Leonard, and I wanted to, again, compliment the Planning Commission. I think it wasn't clear to some of the people who were here at the meeting, and I'm sorry that the Carrolls weren't here. I think maybe watching it on TV, they may have missed a part of it. But, and then there were comments about it being rushed through. I thought we addressed that at the August 6th meeting. But because they either had to be approved or sent forward or completely rejected, a decision had to be made. It had to be sent up to the council within 60 days. That is not uncommon. It had changed in the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. It was while I was sick, but we had a 60-day time limit for 20 years or more that I can remember. So I know that, and I complimented Steve on sending those SUPs up individually so that you, the Wise Council, had the ability to approve one, approve two, or disapprove all of them because they came separately. I agree that I think all 3 of them, even 2 of them, is too much. I would rather see, as would the citizens that I have discussed with in the Citizens for the Betterment and Harmony of Haymarket, they have said they would rather not see more than 1 more drive-through. I would like to plead with the applicant. I think the applicant or their legal advisor misunderstood some of us who were saying that it would, I know I personally, on behalf of citizens, said that the garage didn't belong on that side of the road. It was always industrial on the other side of the road, and now that they're requesting citizens to actually live there in the townhouses, it makes even more sense not to have a garage, a repair, auto repair place there where people are eating and living when across the road has more industrial places for them to be. I'm asking you for your patience with me because I'm also speaking for the citizens.
You're fine on your time, just to let
Okay.
you know. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I'm pleading with the applicants for their mercy, not because we're worried about competition. Naturally, we care about our businesses that are here already, and we want them to thrive. But if what I said gave them the impression that we didn't want competition for our businesses. I believe that's how their attorney addressed it. That is not the case. I was asking, as are the citizens, bring us something we don't already have. A sit-down diner, a different kind of food. If they want advice, I can give it to them. There's plenty of other choices of really good places to eat. It doesn't all have to be fast food, drive-through, or another burger place. I certainly didn't want to give them that impression. So I'm hoping they will reconsider that. I believe the timing that you're doing this is the only way you can do it. If it had stayed down in the Planning Commission, they would have been automatically approved. We did not want that to happen. So I'm glad, and I felt like every one of you listened to me. I left early because I was really tired, but I felt like every single one of you listened to me. And I thought I knew they listened to me because they misunderstood some of it, but I wanted to clarify it tonight. And I believe that we're going to be a better place to live. Slowly but surely, you care about us. And I have a confession to make. After listening to the minister, I think that was a sermonette to me because, you know, I have a memory like an elephant, and I never forget good things or bad things people do to me. So I accept that as a sermon to remind me I need to forgive some too. Have a good night.
All right, and thank you for your comments. Anyone else like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close our citizens' time. We're going to go up to our next, page 18, our presentation, our veterans banner. Have Justin Lease from Boy Scout Troop 1822, or Scout Troop, excuse me. How you doing, sir?
Good evening,
Good.
Mayor and Board, and of course, fellow citizens. So this is my Eagle project, and what I'm planning to do is start a program with the military tribute banners to try and get some veterans banners hung up on the light posts on Washington Street. We're going to start kicking the program off later this week, and we will have a booth set up at Haymarket Day, and that's where you guys can go ahead and start filling out order forms if you would like for your loved ones or yourself. Fill out like basic information about your time of service, and we would love to display it for you guys. Now, we actually do have a sample that came in just the other day.
Wow, look at that, that's nice. Right.
It is Marshall.
Yep.
That looks really great.
So these are what the banners will look like. And it's really beautiful, honestly, and I would love to see it decorated right around Veterans Day.
Are they the
That'd be
same on
great.
both sides?
Yes, ma'am. Same on both sides.
That's great. So,
Nothing further to say? Are there any questions?
So just to let everybody know, when we had the Flags for Our Heroes, where we lit up the town with all those flags out there in the park, Senator Black spoke that morning, and offline, he mentioned about going through a town in Pennsylvania, his hometown, where they do this project, and which inspired me to think, what a great thing to do for our town. And so we reached out, researched it, and Shelley was able to find out more about it and then put it all together. Staff was able to then find our volunteer here to make it a reality. And I know Senator Black, I think we're in contact with him that we're going to try to get him out here to make this a little bit more of a formal presentation when we put these up. But thank you for taking this on as a project as well. Yeah. Any questions from the dais?
Just no question, just a comment. Being a veteran, and I will be paying for my own, or my wife's going to surprise me with one. I'm going to do it. What a great project. Congratulations on moving forward with this. It's commendable.
What is the fee for each of the banners?
So one banner costs $75.
Do you give military discount? I'm just kidding you. That's a great price.
Okay. How many flags are available for sponsorship?
I think we have 84 light poles.
Okay.
84 light posts.
Yep.
For banners. And we will have a wait list so that we can keep on adding more next year if anyone wants to take their banners home. So we can keep on adding on.
Awesome.
Real
Thank
quick,
you.
one little addition there. If the ARB is amenable, we can have some of our light posts have 2 banner arms, so
Oh.
some could have multiples.
Yeah, so we could
Depending
go
on
We
the
could
to
have a little
response that
more
we
than
get,
84.
yeah.
go up
depending
to
on the ARB.
168 if we make that double polled. Wow.
Do we have any applications yet?
That's what he has right there. He's going to, we're going to put him in the town newsletter,
Oh, great.
and if we'll have a booth at Haymarket Day.
I'll fill mine out later.
And a link on our website.
Yes.
Yep, great.
If you don't mind, Justin, will you make the banner, or could we take pictures to advertise it on our website and everything?
You guys can take it if you guys want.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Does the citizens person have any questions?
That is awesome.
How long will it fly?
It depends on on the weather, but we estimate at least about 5 years that they could last before we have to replace them.
And it's up a couple times a year?
November and May.
Okay, November and May, Veterans and Memorial Day.
Yep,
Awesome.
good stuff.
Any other questions?
That is awesome.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you very much. We all appreciate it. Yep,
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
okay. Our next up is our department reports. So we see this changed up a little bit, if you didn't already notice. So we, of course, in meeting with staff, I thought I would kind of try to make things flow a little bit more efficiency, and we'll see if if we like this, or we'd like to change it up a little bit. But I thought we had 2 major things. We have the police department report and then our business manager report. And under that, as we've been seeing, we get a weekly report from that, so that his report will then comprise of the 4 weekly reports that will make up our department report. But staff will be here. Roberto will be obviously giving his monthly report, as well as the planner and or anything that needs to be noted otherwise. So with that, Chief Lands. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are y'all?
Excellent.
Anybody have any questions about the statistics for the month of August? Okay, just to point out a couple things. First thing, National Night Out. Thank you to the council members that attended. It was a great turnout, bigger than last year, set up better than last year, free food from Mission Barbecue. Everybody had a blast, even with the little bit of rain we had. Some people left and then came right back afterwards. People really enjoyed dunking me in the booth, especially Councilman Shannon.
Yes, I did.
It was a great event, and we really appreciate you that attended and the town that supported the event, bringing all the kids out. We met a lot of people, and that's the whole thing for that, is for the citizens to come out and meet their police officers and get to know us on a different basis than if it was scary, and to really connect with the kids. So we had a good time with that. I also attended a DMV grant meeting this past month where we were awarded a $6,000 grant for traffic enforcement for alcohol DUI drivers. So that'll start in September. They give us money to allow an officer to pay them overtime to work the streets to look for DUI drivers. And then the last thing I have is we conducted a traffic blitz last week, and where we invited the council to come out and ride with the officers. We had every officer out, and we just kind of hit every corner of the town, pulling over and looking for infractions. The result of that was 14 traffic tickets, 3 arrests. 2 of those arrests were for felony charges. One was a wanted felon that was walking the streets that Officer Davis stopped. We did 10 warnings. And it really went off well. We've been having a lot of complaints of people just feel like traffic has increase their speeds, especially on this end of town. So we just did that blitz, and it went so well, and we have the grant hours for it. We'll probably end up doing that once a month if I can work out the schedules for everybody, but council, you can react to what you thought of that. But I think it was a good way for you to see what the officers do every day, and really just how the streets don't just roll up at 9 o'clock like you think. It's a busy little town, and not so much because of the town, but because of the traffic that passes in and out and through the town. We have a really nice, quiet, low crime town, but we do have people that pass through. We're not surrounded by 10 acres of woods on either side. We're in the middle of Prince William County, so everything they see comes through the town as well. So that was a great event. And then last thing I have is, I'd like to point out good things that each officer does. I'd like to recognize Officer O'Neill. He put together the National Night Out. He did a better job this year than he did last year, and he did a great job last year. So I think if you saw on Facebook where he invited everybody to it, and then we had lots of video. And then we also had the Frank, who volunteered his time to do a video of the event, which came out great. So, yeah, just if you have any questions, that's all I have for you tonight.
If I can make one comment.
Yes.
I enjoyed it, and I got to ride with Sergeant Shaver, so we got to go everywhere. But watching the field sobriety test that Officer Gregory gave, and the professionalism, and the young man that he pulled over, who wasn't intoxicated, just smelled like it, but he wasn't, was so professional. And just the way Sergeant Shaver went up and was talking to the young man, and Officer Gregory too. I mean, if such a thing, it was a friendly stop. And the young man had other issues with the car, but it was just professionalism from top to bottom. So I enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing it again.
Thank you, sir.
Other comments?
I will do once a month as well. I did enjoy it. We travel around, and our car was the highest hit, like, felony and...
Where all the action, yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Shiro.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As the mayor said, this is a bit of a different format, and after discussing maybe streamlining the council agenda some, and the fact that we're generating a weekly report to the council, which is also available in the packet each month, so the public will see that as well. We just included all the reports under the business manager's report. If there are any questions or concerns, or if there's any way you'd like to see it done differently, please let me know. We can certainly accommodate it. It's just a thought that rather than have each individual staff member come up here and just recite their report to the council, it might be better to get it out ahead of time with a weekly update and see if there are any questions.
Yep.
Jerry, could you just share with the rest of the council where we stand with the website?
It is this week item.
Emily, just so they all know.
Yes, so we were going to go live on Friday of last week. However, with Haymarket Day and a couple other things going on, we are going to have a meeting tomorrow morning and discuss where we're at with our, I guess, the website designer. And then we do plan to go live probably right after Haymarket Day, the week following. So we're still working on it, but a little bit of delay with everything that's happening.
Just a couple tweaks, but it's almost ready.
So, who is our content writer?
Staff.
And why?
Yeah, so what we're doing is each kind of department is working on their own content. So we put our forms up, we have our paragraphs and things that address each area of concern. Roberta would do taxes, for instance, kind of frequently asked question sheets, things like that.
So we are going to do pay online system as well from this time, or no?
So it'll be, we pay a hosting fee for the website, and then we and staff take care of all the other changes. They'll do minor modifications for us as part of a contract.
No, like you can pay your
Oh,
fees
yes,
online.
sorry,
No,
yes.
that's what he was asking. I
Sorry.
understand that.
Yes, we're working on that.
Okay. So I guess the question is, is this something we want to continue with? Because I can adjust the agenda as we see efficiencies, but I just thought that this might be something to help streamline.
I'm okay, this,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the whole idea, of course, having the financials in here, if there's any questions, and of course, we've always encouraged as these packets come out, if we have questions, we call staff and just kind of makes it more.
The two things that I would like to see reported monthly would be having Chief Lance come up and speak, and then also having our town treasurer, with it being the town's money and our citizens paying the taxes, and it belongs to the town. I'd like to have our treasurer up here giving us a report, even though the report, yes, is in the packet. I believe, obviously, we're being transparent with that, but I want to make sure he's coming up, and if we have any questions, we're able to ask him the whole 9 yards. And also having Chief come up, as that being a service that is paid again by the citizens of our town. I want to ensure that Chief's able to come up and give a report. Normally, we don't have any questions. Normally, it is smooth, but I don't see the need to pass over it when it normally takes no more than 5 minutes per those two reports.
Yeah, and just to clarify, so we'll definitely have the chief presentation and Jerry's and Roberto here for questions. But yeah, I mean, we could also separate Roberto's and put him up here to go through, but he will be here. Yeah. Okay.
I think as long as he's here, in my opinion, I'm fine with it. If we have questions for him, we could ask him.
Right.
But of course, I'm happy with whatever everybody feels comfortable with.
And of course, it doesn't preclude us from asking things that might happen during the week, because by the time this report goes out, we're about
there's a time lapse.
we're about a week into it.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
And along those lines, I have to mention something. This afternoon, I was informed that since I've been here, since we've been working on this thing, all of the streetlights, I think, are working.
Yeah.
And the new ones have been put up. And just so council knows, that was a complicated mess. It was wired to all the different businesses, and some of them on photocell, some of them not. I think we have them. Having said that, we'll go out tonight and half of them will be out again. But anyway, as of today, when the contractor came in, he said he had them all working. And so that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely. I did notice this weekend that finally the CVS lights were on, and it was like, oh my gosh, that hasn't been on for, I can't even remember how long. Yeah, but that's good, good. Any other questions or comments for Jerry? All right, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on. We do have some housekeeping. We're on page 45 of our packet, which appointment of our chartered employees, as we're reminded by our charter that September is the month. We have sample draft motions that are included in page 45 at the bottom.
Mayor, pursuant to Article 3, 113 of the Town of Haymarket Charter, I move the Haymarket Town Council appoint Roberto C. Gonzalez as the Haymarket Town Treasurer.
Motion on the floor and seconded by Vice Mayor Edwards. Discussion on the motion? There we go. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstain? Motion carried unanimously.
Mayor, pursuant to Article 3, 116 of the Haymarket Town Charter, I move the Haymarket Town Council appoint Shelley Kozlowski as the Haymarket Town Clerk and Office Manager.
I second.
Motion on the floor and seconded by Councilman Shannon. Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstained? Motion carried unanimously.
Mayor, pursuant to Article 3, 117 of the Haymarket Town Charter, I move the Haymarket Town Council appoint Kevin Lands as the Haymarket Chief of Police.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstained? Motion carried unanimously. All right, got that out of there. Thank you all. See Kevin back there smiling? Yes, sir. All right. Our next one is our action item for, we're on page 46, our Code of Ethics. This was continued with our last discussion. Changes were sent in to the clerk, and what we see in our packet is as noted, and I think we even have a sample motion on our handout for our Code of Ethics and Standards Conduct for adoption.
I move the Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct for the Haymarket Town Council and appointed officials be approved.
I second.
Motion been seconded by Councilman Shannon. Any discussion on this? We'll go a roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Okay. All right, next up is, we're on page 50 for our Town of Haymarket Vision, Mission, Values Strategic Agenda that we met. Was open to the public. We met for 2 days, one on a Friday evening and the next Saturday morning through afternoon here locally at the Marriott there at Gainesville. In going through this, we wanted to have this for adoption, so number one, to see if there's any changes or thoughts on it. If not, there's a sample motion as well.
Mr. Mayor, I move the Haymarket Town Council approve the draft Town of Haymarket Vision, Mission, Values, Strategic Agenda for the years 2018 through 2020 be approved as presented.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor. Discussion on this motion? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Okay, next up is, we're going to actually pull this item off of our agenda for ordinance 2018-001. If you have any questions, you can speak to council about it, but I'm going to pull that off. Our next item, I don't know if we want to, it's only 8 o'clock, take a short break, or do we want to go right into Crossroads Village?
Mayor,
Yes.
you added 3B to the
Oh, yes, apologies, you're right.
proclamation. Mayor, if I may. A proclamation to observe Suicide Prevention Awareness Week. Whereas suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States and the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 and 34. Suicide is the only leading cause of death that has increased every year for the past decade. And whereas according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, one person dies by suicide every 12.3 minutes in the United States, resulting in nearly 43,000 suicides each year. And it is estimated that there are more than 1.1 million suicide attempts each year. And more than 90% of the people who die by suicide have a diagnosable and treatable mental health condition, which often goes unrecognized or untreated. And whereas the stigma associated with mental health conditions and suicidality works against suicide prevention by discouraging persons at risk for suicide from seeking life-saving help and further traumatizes survivors of suicide loss and people with lived experience of suicide. And whereas organizations such as the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention envision a world without suicide and are dedicated to saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide through research, education, advocacy, and resources for those who have lost loved ones or struggle with mental health conditions. And whereas in January 2017, the General Assembly designated the week of September 10th in 2017 and each succeeding year as National Suicide Prevention Week in Virginia. Whereas during the National Suicide Prevention Week and throughout the year, organizations and individuals in the Commonwealth are encouraged to consider initiatives based on the goals contained in the National Strategy for Suicide Prevention and develop and implement strategies to increase access to quality mental health, substance abuse, and suicide prevention services. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Haymarket of Virginia does hereby designate the week of September 10, 2018 as National Suicide Prevention Week in Haymarket and urges all citizens to support and reach out to those affected by suicide and raise awareness during the month of September and throughout the year.
So somebody want to do a so moved, and we'll go ahead and adopt
So
this?
moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Council or Vice Mayor. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Councilman Leek, for reading that. All right, our next item is our Crossroads Village.
Mayor, are we going to take a recess? Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a 10-minute recess and reconvene at 8:15.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're here. Just tell me when we're ready to live. And we're there. All right. Welcome back. All right. We're going to go to our next item here on our agenda, which is Crossroads Village Center. Ms. Emily, I think I'd like to start out with you and then also hear one more time from the applicant.
Yes, thank you. So since our last meeting on August 6th, we have received an additional condition letter from the applicant. If you look at package page 58, the conditions for the drive-in restaurants have been changed to include: the storefront on the restaurant shall face Washington Street. All 4 sides of each restaurant shall be finished to a standard to present aesthetically pleasing facades on all sides. And 2 of the restaurants with drive-ins shall have a minimum patio size of 150 square feet. The applicant has added this additional condition so that they can kind of work towards the stigma of we're not giving a walking destination. We're not listening to some of our citizens' concerns regarding the walkability and the drive-throughs. I'll certainly let them address further their intent with the condition, but I do want to bring up that it is the 2 drive-throughs, drive-ins, my apologies, the eastern and the central, located on the GDP. That's closest to Giuseppe's. It's closest to the side where the residential backs up. Also on the GDP, there is a note that the dumpster locations have also been added. I know I gave you guys copies in your agenda. It is black and white, a little hard to see. However, the color copies, the larger copies, have them on there. I can point them out for you, but those have been added. They are, subject to move around a little. The applicant asks for flexibility with the location based on parking and when we get in the site plan phase. However, they have been addressed here. I know that was brought up by one councilman. Yes.
So I do have a question. So I know there's been a lot of talk about the dumpsters. So is this something that's really brought at this stage, the preliminary stage of a general development plan versus the site plan?
Not typically.
Right. So typically this is just a concept of how this is going to look. Where it really gets into it will be the next phase if this all goes through, how it goes
Correct.
through.
At site plan, we'll start working at each little logistic, the dumpsters, the exact traffic. Are they going to need parking, shared parking agreements across the property? That will address any and all parking deficiencies at that time. You'll have certain users that have different peak hours, therefore we can account and use parking in other spaces, as the day goes with the different users. So
Okay.
those items are addressed at the site plan phase.
Right. Okay.
Except for the fact that this is an SUP, it's not a by right use. A by right use, yes, hands down, I would agree with that. That can be handled at the site plan phase, but with an SUP, it allows the dais to have a little more control in those locations. So I would disagree with that statement. I would say that should be done with this GDP in reference because it is an SUP.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That is also correct.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. I apologize. Yeah. Just wanted to get some clarification of that.
Nope. So that's where we're at with the additions and the changes that have been made to the application since the August 6th meeting. Are there any specific questions from council for me before we invite the applicant?
Questions? Okay. Seeing none.
Okay, seeing none, the applicant would like to address the council.
Good evening, members of the council, Mr. Mayor. I've learned I need to hold this mic close, so that's why I'm holding it up. Otherwise, the people in the back can't hear. It's a pleasure to be before you again. I'm Gifford Hampshire with the law firm of Blankenship and Keith, and I represent the applicant. as I have before you last time we were here on the 6th of August. And just a little history, I think the record should reflect where we've been. As was indicated earlier in Citizens' Time, we filed this application actually last spring, and sometime after we filed it, after we met with staff, after we met with citizens, including in the Sherwood Forest area, we eventually got to public hearing, and it was a joint public hearing with council and the Planning Commission. And we heard a lot of good comments at that hearing. And as you know, the Planning Commission was directed to take 60 days and do what it needed to do to vet this project, and it did. It held not one, not two, but 3 hearings, 3 meetings anyway, where citizens were able to speak on June 6, June 18, and July 16. And then, of course, we were before you on August 6. And just to refresh your recollection, the rezoning, after a lot of discussion, was approved. We're not dealing with the townhouses or the rezoning tonight. Therefore, we're not dealing with any of those impacts. We're also not dealing with the special use permit for the auto repair that was denied by council last time, and so that one is not on the table. We're also not dealing tonight with the hotel SUP for the additional height. The council approved that one. Our time together tonight is really solely related to these 3 special use permits for the restaurants with drive-ins, as the town calls them. The town zoning ordinance calls them drive-ins, not drive-throughs. They're called drive-ins in this town. And as it was indicated, there were several concerns about those which merited further discussion, and so the council deferred until tonight. We have already discussed the dumpsters, and as Ms. Lockhart indicated, we've added some detail, general detail about the dumpsters. There was also some discussion and concern about the traffic from the drive-in, from the drive-ins, and whether or not that the drive-in windows would generate more traffic than restaurants without drive-ins. In that regard, we referenced last time a report from our traffic engineer, Grove Slade, that the Planning Commission did receive and discuss, but for whatever reason, you all did not have it before you on August 6th, and I understand you now have that before you. It's a technical memorandum dated June 8, 2018 by Grove Slade, and what it recites is, as was discussed last time, the 10th edition of the Institute of Traffic Engineers Trip Generation Manual, which, while there are some differences because of peak hours, overall, the traffic generation rate between restaurants with and without drive-ins is approximately the same. And the chart on the front of that memorandum, for example, shows that the AM peak hour restaurants with drive-ins have 241 vehicles versus without 377. So they're actually less than the AM peak hour. And the PM peak hour, it's a little bit the reverse, 196 with drive-ins versus 170 without. And overall, you have throughout the day, and including Saturday, you have about 1 vehicle difference on the Saturday peak hour, 329 versus 328. 329 with the drive-through and 328 without. So that's an important thing to keep in mind, is that traffic generation rates, we contend, and we think we have the data behind us, are not significantly different with and without drive-ins. We, as was indicated, have also done the best we can, and please keep in mind that we do not have users on board, and therefore, unfortunately, we cannot give you the kind of detail that we could give you if we had a particular user on board, which would come with its own facade, its own elevation, its own standards about hours of operation, size of structure, and that sort of thing. But given that lack of detail, we tried to figure out, with Ms. Lockhart's help, how could we provide you some level of comfort that the kind of restaurants that we're going to attract would be more of the more of the sit-down casual types, like the Chipotle or the Panera's as opposed to Burger King and McDonald's. And what we focused on was the patio size. And if you look at the patio size of the kinds of restaurants that we want to try to attract, there's generally bigger because people, after all, want to sit down and enjoy their meal. They're not wanting to get in and out of their car as quickly. So we have come up with a minimum patio size of 150 square feet. And that has been added to the other conditions that were before you on August 6th. So with that, those are the major changes to the application. We suggest to you that the people would indeed want to walk to those kinds of restaurants without naming them. Those are the kind that we hope to attract. And again, the traffic impact we submit is not significantly different with and without drive-ins. And I would also remind the council of what Mr. Wooden has said in previous meetings, both before the council and also before the Planning Commission, and that is these days any sort of restaurant is going to want to have a drive-in component. And so in order to market this property, we need to have that in order to make it viable. And I'll stop with that, and we stand ready to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions from the dais here?
Not a question, a couple of comments, if I could. Since last meeting, since our last council meeting, I kind of kept a track. I went around to 27 fast food restaurants throughout the area. I'm not going to mention their names, obviously. 19 of those were in severe need of maintenance. They were terrible. I'm surprised that the health department hadn't shut them down, and some of them are fairly close to us. That's my concern with, depending on the type of restaurants we get and everything. I know you haven't identified those restaurants yet, but do you have any idea at what point in time, I mean, are you saying that these SUPs, whether it's yay or nay on them before you can really get any takers out there?
That's my understanding, and Mr. Wooden can speak more to that, but in order to have any kind of serious discussions with potential users, we have to have the special use permits in place.
The patios are important. I will tell you, I think. I like that ideal. I still believe this is a walk in town. I've said that from the start. My feelings haven't changed. But again, I like the idea of having patios. I'll speak for me. If I go up there, the wife and I, with the grandkids or whatever, it's nice just to sit outside, not on days like today, but I like that. That's attractive to the town, I think. So it's the only comments I have right now.
Okay. Questions more for, any else? Absolutely, this is a...
I think my biggest concern is writing Mellage on a blank check. Just signing it over to you and leaving it up to Mellage to make the decision that's best for our town. I get the whole marketing thing. I get it in theory. But it's hard for me to take that leap and say, you know, you're going to do what's best for this town. Because in the end, y'all are businessmen, and I get that. It's an investment. You're here to make money. That's what America's all about. But it keeps me up at night thinking about it. You know, I want to put trust in people, and I want this town to develop. But it's hard to take that final step to say, you know, I'm just going to do it. You know, I've been bashed a lot over the last few weeks by people saying that I don't know what a by right use is. I know what a by right use is. What I'm saying, what I said in my comments previously, just to clarify, is that the by right uses for this property, and I still believe this, without the special uses as a property owner, the by right uses for this property, to me, some of them are not acceptable uses in this town, but by right, you guys can do them. And I understand that. I understand the whole thing. I just wish there was some way that We could just not write you a blank check, but I don't know what to do.
So I'm not sure if that's a question or not.
No,
Number
it
one,
is.
I mean,
Is there
right.
is there a solution to this? I mean, yes, you've done the patio seating, but and that kind of leans us going towards in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. But
So what we have before us, just so everybody's clear, we have 3 SUPs that we're going to be discussing individually with their own merits, and they should be. So I'm not sure, with this time, I mean, if we have questions for the applicant regarding his presentation, the information, I think is where we should be focused. And then when we get in our discussion, let our discussion begin. If we have to refer back to an applicant or the town staff, then we'll do that. But
Are you going to hold discussion until a motion's on the floor, or are you
oh, no,
going to
no, I'd
allow
like to have
a
it beforehand.
discussion before a motion?
No, I think a
is-
discussion before a motion is.
Okay,
is
so
done.
you're simply wanting
I'm
questions
just-
for the applicant.
Applicant right now, and then let's take each SUP and have our discussion, and then refer back to staff or the applicant if we have that, if that's okay. I just wanted to keep it in a process here.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just address
Sure,
Vice Mayor's,
absolutely.
just a few things to keep in mind. The first one is, of course, and it bears repeating, is that restaurants, even fast food restaurants, are used by right under the town code.
right.
And so what we are talking about tonight is not whether or not there should be a restaurant or even a fast food restaurant, is whether or not there should be a drive-in window connected with those restaurants. And so in so doing, the council's job is to look at the additional impacts that result just from that differential. And what I'm suggesting to you is, at least with respect to traffic, we have a good report here that shows that there's not a significant difference in traffic. We think that we have mitigated that impact also by a general design on the GDP that shows circulation. And we've addressed a few concerns like the connection from Chick-fil-A and that sort of thing. But the other thing to keep in mind as far as the concern and the justifiable concern about a blank check is that, as I think you, Vice Mayor, have said yourself, that is, we have some additional controls here. We have a site plan, which will get into those details. And of course, we're not going to be able to submit a site plan until we have those details. And we also have the Architectural Review Board that's going to come forward with a lot of input on what these uses are going to look like. So if it is a blank check, it's a very small one, I would suggest to you. Or it has a cap on it, because it's only dealing with the incremental impact of the drive-through uses, knowing that there will be ARB and site plan control.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Other questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Your 2 loading zones that you have shown on here, those are serving which restaurants or which uses? Are you just putting in 2 generic loading zones? Loading areas, excuse me?
Push the button and point, yeah.
I think you're referring to the one that's shown here and the one that's over here between
Yes, sir.
the 2, yeah. Yeah, so again, I think those primarily are used for what we call our compactors. So the dumpsters are located here, which of course is for loading and offloading. Loading zones in general rule, we're happy to put in loading zones when we get the site plan. We can discuss it. But I'll tell you right now that loading zones are never used. So the UPS guy is going to pull up exactly where he wants to pull up. The U.S. Foods truck is going to pull up exactly where they want to pull up. And that's just the way it is with loading and offloading. So what we try to make work real well is all of our dumpster pads. So I think Ms. Shannon, in relation to your question, let me comment on that. One of the things that we really take pride in is we really like a cohesive development. This is a master plan development. And one of the things that you've seen about these drive-throughs, we've seen over the years too, is that you'll go into an area and you'll see a specific restaurant that's just really, it has a lot of maintenance that's needed, and landscaping and road improvements and so forth. So under this plan, we are controlling all of the common area maintenances. So no matter what the use may be, we really stress shared uses of what we call our compactor locations. We want to limit trash, and we want to put it in areas that are shared, and we want these compactors to be available to all these shared uses, because trash is one of the hardest things to control on a site. So with these new compactors, we can compact about 10 times the amount of trash, but more importantly, it's more controllable because it's confined, it's enclosed, and it's more of a permanent structure. So we try to limit that throughout the site and use it as a shared use. Landscaping, repairs, maintenance, all of the things that go associated with all these uses will be controlled by property management. So that way you get a very consistent and a very, notable, yeah.
And thank you for that. My concern was inside the buildings. Going in the bathrooms, urinals hanging off the wall, those type of things. So the maintenance of inside the building, that's where my main concern is, because they can get poor real quick.
Yeah.
Are these going to be pad sites? Are you turning these pad sites for these fast food restaurants?
Yes, they can be ground leases.
Okay.
Okay, so
It can be either.
So the building you would lease, you would still own the building, and the proper the management, the property management would be the one to ensure that you walk into a bathroom, hand dryers are working, those type of things.
Exterior.
Okay, that's my concern. Is again, and I'm not going to name any particular restaurants, but that's and I'll save my comments for the discussion with us. But thank you for answering that.
Yeah. I'd like to address the council. It really, I guess about a week or so ago, I felt really remiss in something that's important to not only developer but also council and town. When I was sitting here, it really drove it home. I heard several people get up and address you, and they talked about things that they felt like the town needed. We need continuation of sidewalks. We need all of our lighting fixed. We need lower property taxes in the town. And if you're business-minded, you understand that those things come at a cost to the town. And the town is responsible for those things. So I went back and I looked at your taxes that you're collecting on various restaurants and food uses. And then I kind of looked at a very conservative view. On the restaurants that we're proposing, and again, because we don't know the exact uses, I can't give you exact data, but in my best calculations, on a very conservative basis, we're going to produce about $600,000 to $700,000 per annum to the town in meal taxes just in the restaurants that we're proposing. And I think that's a very conservative number. And I think with that kind of revenue to the town, there's a lot of opportunity to help the citizens of the town with that tax base. So sometimes we have a tendency to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but in this case, I think there's a great opportunity for the town and for us to really have an opportunity to generate tax and in turn do all the things that the citizens want, done in the town. So I just wanted to point that out.
Mayor, if I may, I just want to make sure it's extremely clear to our citizens that this diocese does not make decisions based off of what tax revenues are going to be able to be coming into the town. That's not something that we look at that merit. I appreciate you providing that information. In regards to that information, are you speaking to the 3 SUPs and the drive-throughs, that 600, 700K?
No.
Okay, you're speaking to all the restaurants.
I'm speaking to all of the potential restaurants on the site. Yeah.
Correct.
And again, I'm speaking conservatively.
Correct, but unfortunately, we don't know if all of those would be restaurants. We don't know if all of those would then be able to bring in that meal stacks, because,
Okay.
Well, one thing would be for certain is if we didn't have one of the drive-through uses, we would have to convert that to some kind of a by right use, which likely would not be a restaurant use. So,
Understood. People that haven't spoke, anybody had questions for?
may I continue?
Oh, sure.
Do you have any LOIs out on any of these SUPs?
We have LOIs out through many of the uses on the site. They're all in initial stages, and they're all confidential in nature, so we can't discuss them. But yes, we've just started getting some traction
On the SUPs or?
on all the sites. Various sites.
In regards to the SUP in general?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Other questions for the applicant? All right. Thank you very much. Now we are going to go step by step here. We're going to start out with the first one that we have in our packet, which was referred to as, I guess, the O2, which is the Western SUP. And I open that up for discussion.
I just want to say that the overwhelming conversation that I've heard from my neighbors and other members of the community is that they're strongly against any more drive-throughs. And so I just want to make sure that we're really thinking about what everyone in the town is saying, and yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, a couple things. I'm not concerned about the traffic. Traffic's going to happen no matter what, and that's just reality. There's nothing we can do, or nothing going to go on those acreage that's not going to give us more traffic. We know that. My concern, again, goes back to, again, and I appreciate you stating, you know, the LOI's out and you can't identify. I just wish there was some way we could, we could place a contingency on the final approval of these SUPs. And probably can't, I don't know, but if we could, that's what I would go with. Two, talking to neighbors in my subdivision and some others, they're not necessarily opposed to drive-throughs. They're kind of concerned about what type of drive-throughs go through, because two of my neighbors went with me to some of these fast food restaurants and just saw the condition of those. And it's pretty much the same restaurants anywhere throughout Northern Virginia that I went to. And again, I'm not going to name the names, that's not important here. But then you go to some of the others that have drive-ups that are outstanding. And so I think, unfortunately, some restaurants, I think, you know, whether they're franchised or not, makes a difference too, I think, to the building themselves. What I don't want to see in this town, in that property, are those type of restaurants that are just run down. That's my concern. That's my dilemma now, which way I'm even
That's
going
what's
to
so
vote.
hard, I feel like, is that if we approve them, you know, although there are restaurants that I have in my mind that I would love to see come, I know they can't guarantee that those are what they would be. So for me, I don't want to take that chance that it could be something less desirable, because, you know, I live here, we all live here. I don't want to see those restaurants as I'm driving into town either. So.
But that's not in our purview. We don't get to
Right.
choose
Yeah,
what
we don't get
restaurants
to
come.
pick and choose.
So.
We're looking at
Exactly.
specifically on the drive-up or drive-in aspect of this.
Correct. So
these
in that,
SUPs.
and that, with that being said, I would say that the application is incomplete. If you look at the application on the left-hand side, the applicant/permit holder information, that is a spot granted to where if folks do have an interested party or someone under contract, they can go ahead and put that name down if that folks. Now, I work in the commercial world, so I understand the confidentiality between a letter of intent and the property owner, and those folks may not want to go ahead and have their name out there in those regards, but at the same time, if it's something that is contingent upon them getting the application and getting approved, in my opinion, I do not see why it would not be okay for them to go ahead and be willing to put their name on the application if that is true, that they have a letter of intent for one or multiple of those SUPs.
So kind of rein it back in. So we're talking about the one SUP right now, the western one, as we discuss and debate all this information. I look at the aspect of the drive-in or drive-up, statistics. It sounds like the traffic impact, if that's one of the concerns, it's very marginal. I mean, a few cars either way. Of course, having the restaurant alone would, of course, have an impact of increased, but looking at the ability of just a drive-up for that particular site, is that a benefit? Is that...
I think we're talking two different things, in my opinion. A drive-up and a drive-through, to me, are two different things. I can tell you now, a restaurant right over here in Gainesville is a drive-up. You call ahead, you can text, you can go online, and you pull up there and you get it. You don't go through a drive-through and somebody hands you. You have to park and go inside and get your food. To me, that's a drive-up. A drive-through is what we have at Chick-fil-A right now, or McDonald's, or other fast food restaurants. To me, that's apples and oranges.
And I'm not saying that people wouldn't use them. Like, I realize we probably all use Chick-fil-A. I know that. I'm thinking about the overall feel, look, that just preserving what we have as much as we can. I know that if we put them there, we're going to use them. People are going to come and use them. That's not what I'm worried about. I know that traffic either way is going to be, we're going to have more traffic. But to me, it's just their overall feel when you add those restaurants, in my eyes. If we don't have control over those restaurants, then how can we vote yes for the SUP for a drive-through? I
We do have
can't.
control at the ARB and at the zoning administrator after they've been here and they don't maintain their property. We have control that way.
But not over
that's
which
right.
ones.
No, we don't,
Yeah.
not unless we go up and buy that piece of property.
Robert?
I just want to say that I believe that no matter what we choose to do, there is a risk. If you choose to deny it, there's a risk. If you choose to approve it, there's a risk. After all that I've looked at and from the comments of the developer and everything that we know and everything that I've seen, I think that, it is my opinion that the developer is doing his best to get and mitigate our concerns and trying to get the type of restaurants that we are looking for. Again, there is a risk, could be, there's no guarantees. I think that the greater risk is to deny it, and I'm personally going to vote for it. So I think it's my opinion that the greater risk is to deny the SUP, and that's my personal opinion.
I can make one other comment, then I'll shut up. But Councilman Day brings up a good point, and in fact, I had a discussion earlier today. My concern is the unknown. You got unknown either way. There's risk either way. We don't know what restaurants are going in there. But at the same time, if restaurants don't go in there, we understand by right. There's other things that could go in there. I have faith that the applicants, that they are good faith to understand what we want in this town. I believe their reputation is on line. If they were to not be above board with us, I have no reason to suspect that they are not straight up with us. So, I know I'm kind of talking both sides, but the unknown is what's tough. If we don't approve the SUPs and other type of businesses go in there, is that we going to be worse off? So that's a big concern too, and that's why I was anxious to hear other comments and everything. It's you know, and coming in my background, risk mitigation is important, and I'd like to mitigate the risk the best way. So that's, you know,
all of them, you know, necessary.
But look at,
Well, we're looking one at a time. We should be really focused on the Western application that's in front of us as I kind of bring you back
all right,
home here.
excellent. We'll speak about the Western application then, Mayor. In that regards, to counter Councilman Day and Councilman Shannon, gentlemen, the risk is still here. This is a GDP. This is not a site plan. They could come in at the site plan phase and scratch this. Just because we grant the SUP doesn't mean they have to use it. So to say that the risk there is you feel like the risk is greater if you deny it. Gentlemen, they can still come back and put whatever they want in here. This does not mean that this is what they're doing. This is not a site plan phase. This is just, they're looking for these SUPs. So that risk is there no matter what.
So let's define that. What would a drive in or drive up, you know, as you go to Chipotle now and you notice that as this big long line wraps around and all of a sudden you have 4 or 5 people that go right up to the register. We're in a technology day today where people are using mobile apps. They're going to these windows. They're going for the convenience. They've got 2 kids in the car, and I got to take the kids and go inside, or is it easier just to wrap around a drive-through to get what they're looking for? Or the dog is in the car, or the fact that they've come off the interstate. So is the drive-up window or drive-in something that we want for the town? You know, do we have other ones? It's basically a convenience for that thing that we're looking at. If it's CVS, it's getting your prescription and not have to go inside and go all the way to the back counter.
Excellent. CVS submitted their name on the application when they put their SUP in, Mayor.
Correct. No, I understand.
As well as
that.
Chick-fil-A, as
But
well
we're-
as McDonald's.
I'm just focusing on the convenience of this, for this applicant.
And Mayor, I respect that and I understand that, Mayor, but at the end of the day, the gentleman said he has an LOI out there. So if he has an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement, I understand. But if this SUP is contingent upon that, why wouldn't the applicant go ahead and put their name on the application, and then if it got approved, then it was approved with that applicant and that application?
Well, you know,
And in
we
that
don't
instance, we
have
would
that
direct the
information.
question to Meladon Group, but they may not want to answer that question. But at that point, they can go ahead and, if they know that they have a letter of intent out on there.
I understand, but we're dealing with our application that's in front of us, so that's what we have to look at and base our decision on, those factors. Yep.
And I share your concerns. I definitely share your concerns. The one thing I keep looking at is the fact that when we go back by McDonald's, that thing is wrapped out onto 55. Chick-fil-A, it's always a line, and a fellow will go by there twice on his way home to go stop by Chick-fil-A, and he said there wasn't a parking space available to park in the parking lot at all. So, you know, I am, you know, I just, to say that there can't be any more drive-ins at all under any circumstance, any type whatsoever, you know, I don't know. I just, obviously, I don't know. We could use, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm concerned with everyone else, and this is a very difficult decision, and so.
I would like to share something that one of my neighbors talked to me about. There is a place in Marshall, and forgive me because I don't know what the name of it is. It's a little mom and pop, and it started off as this little organic grocery store. And then they went to having like farm-to-table meals where you could call and you could go pick them up. And she's one of those, she's all organic, that's all she does. You know, she drives no matter how far she has to go. But the moral to the story is this little organic market in Marshall put in a drive-up window. So people can drive, it's just this little mom and pop, this little tiny thing, because that, people are driving us to that. They want the convenience of it. The other day she went out there and there were 2 women on horseback who had ridden their horses to the little organic market and went up to the little drive-up window and picked up their organic meal. So it's not just, you know, these little fast food restaurants. It's all different kinds of businesses, and it's driven by what society is asking for. They want the convenience of picking it up. So,
This one we're looking at now is the Western, is that the one next to Giuseppe's?
no, other side.
The
Chick-fil-A.
ups way.
So, and looking and going towards the end of town there, I guess the less walkability as you then come up to the intersection, is consideration should be given for that. Obviously, we'd love to have the idea, I guess, of more of a walking and the outdoor seating arrangements and stuff like that, but,
So this particular one has no outdoor seating.
right.
And the outdoor seating is not depicted upon the GDP? The 150 square foot patio?
Not on this one.
No, this is the
The
Western.
Western one.
The Western one,
That's right, we're only speaking about the Western.
yeah,
My apologies.
That's one you got next to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And it's one lane.
And that's key because we talked about that.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Any other discussion before, I want to make sure we all kind of hear away, or if we have questions.
I think Mr. Hampshire.
So if we're, I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to make sure if we're all in agreement, usually we don't take, if we're all in agreement to let Mr. Hampshire.
Of course.
Talk. Okay, go ahead, sir.
I know I'm a little bit out of order here, but I
Yeah.
to clarify something, that is, that as conditioned, the, two of the restaurants would have to have patios.
Right.
At least 150 square feet. We do not, in fact, specify which two.
Oh, okay, that's a good point to note. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. All right.
Connor?
Yep.
Do you have any other suggestions or comments? I'd love to
Yeah,
hear any thoughts you might have that, any
concern-
suggestions to solve the,
Oh, yeah, the easy choice there is to have the applicant fill out the SUP in a complete manner to where the application is completely complete, and as we spoke about, and having the applicant, what SUP the use is, the whole 9 yards, to make sure that the application is complete at that time. And that can also be dealt with at the site plan phase, as they go through the site plan as well. It's not something that has to be done here in this GDP phase. It is something it can be handled there at the site plan phase.
So is there any consensus to any type of a draft motion to kind of round up
I have
all
a
these?
draft motion for you, Mayor.
Let me see if everybody finished the discussion, we could entertain that?
Sure.
Look for, okay? All right, good.
I make a motion to deny SUP permit 2018-002 for a drive-through restaurant at the Western Restaurant location in accordance with the GDP.
We have a-
The motion.
We have a motion on the floor that's been seconded, so we're good for discussion on the motion.
We're talking about the one now next to Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. No further discussion on the motion, we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Shannon.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Panthy.
Yes.
Edwards.
No.
Vassos. Yes. Day.
Okay, motion passes for the denial of the SUP 2018-00.
Voted to deny it. Does everyone know?
For this is the Western one, yes.
Right.
And make sure everyone at the dice
Yeah,
does
we'll make sure
understand that.
everybody.
If someone doesn't
Yeah,
vote,
just redo your motion then to make sure everybody understood.
I can't redo a motion, but the person who made I would have to go to legal on this, but the person who made a vote that they wanted to change, if the entire dice is okay with them changing it, that it can be changed, but I would have to refer to legal.
I just saw some puzzled looks, so
Right.
I was like,
Right. So the motion was to deny the SUP, and as the votes went around, yes would have meant to deny it, no would have meant to not to deny it. So,
I want to know. Actually, I misunderstood.
okay. So, legal?
Do a motion
To recast votes.
Yeah, to do another vote.
Mayor, I make a motion to recast votes for special use permit 2018-002.
Motion on the floor is to recast?
second.
Second for discussion, so we're withdrawing if this all passes to redo this vote. So everybody understands that. All right, roll call vote, please.
Shannon.
No.
Leak.
Yes.
Panthy.
No.
Edwards.
Wait, are we
Wait,
voting to revote? Is that all we're revoting? Or are we
This was
actually
just to-
casting our vote at this
No,
moment?
I'm sorry.
No, this motion is to be able to go ahead and be able to recast votes.
Recast, we're going to go back. So,
Yes, then.
so in theory, this would all go yes, to then go back to the motion, the original motion, to then vote accordingly. All right. So can we have roll call again for this, after the clarification?
Yes.
Leak.
Yes.
Panthy.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Cavazos.
Yes.
Day.
Yes.
There we go. All right. So
Now
back
was
to the
the
original.
Okay.
Back to the original motion.
Double negatives.
Yep.
Make a motion again, yes, sir. I make a motion to deny SUP 2018-002 for a drive-through restaurant at the Western Restaurant location in accordance with the GDP.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Ms. Cavazos. Discussion. Now, we all understand this is going to deny this SUP as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Shannon.
Yes.
Leak.
Yes.
Panthy.
No.
Edwards.
No.
Cavazos.
Yes.
Day.
No.
The mayor has the prerogative to cast a dissenting vote, either yea or there. I choose not to cast this vote. So the motion will then die with a 3-3 split, and we'll see if there's another motion that will be amenable to the council here.
Okay.
Can you explain that, please?
It'll just die. If no one makes a motion to approve it.
Right.
And then the
Right.
vote goes the other way, then the motion just,
Right,
And then,
right now, yes, the motion died. It's a 3-3 tie, so it did not pass.
I
The
make a-
motion to deny.
I make a motion to approve special use permit SUP 2018-002 for a drive-through restaurant at the Western Restaurant location in accordance with the GDP and the following conditions. The storefront of the Western shall face of Washington Street. All four sides of the restaurant shall be finished to a standard to present aesthetically pleasing facades on all sides. Development shall be in general conformance with the GDP, including sidewalks along both sides of the main roadway.
Motion on the floor,
second.
and seconded by Vice Mayor for discussion.
This SUP, we would be able to handle this at a site plan phase when the application is complete. Again, I think that the application is not complete, does not have all the information to allow us to be able to make our best judgment upon this application.
More discussion.
Dang, this is tough. Again, I don't know, maybe I need to address council on this, but can we make this, I mean, at some point in time, or can we approve this with a clause, with a motion? I mean, we can't? Okay.
No, we could
Then,
add another stipulation to this that, for instance, it would have to be renewed every year.
I think there's things that you could add. I guess this is the question for council.
There's conditions you can add to the SUP.
Right.
Sure. You could also add the conditions now and ask them to meet those conditions and then approve it after they meet the conditions that you.
Okay, and yeah, that's what I was getting at. What Councilman Leak brought up was to complete the SUP with names.
So
So
just,
consider approval upon receiving additional information from the applicant.
Exactly.
Just deferring it,
Right.
basically. We're not making a decision, we're just deferring
well,
it.
no, you're approving the SUP based on, I guess, a name being placed in there? Is that what
No,
we're?
it would be a resolution to consider approval upon receiving additional information from the applicant.
So you're deferring
You
it.
writing that down?
Right, that's what you would be doing.
And that's possible?
Yes, it is.
Is that, so can it be done at the site plan phase, or can it be done under the condition that, again, so you basically be deferring it to the next meeting under the condition that names are provided? Is that
Right,
That's,
they provide the conditions that you want, so if it's names, if it's other conditions.
Completed application.
and there's no issue, no legal issue with that?
No.
I wish you spoke earlier. Okay, all right, I know where I want to go, but, okay. So thank you for the clarification.
Do we have an amendment to the motion that's on the floor?
No.
Yeah, oh, no?
Yeah, it wasn't, yeah. Watch it there.
How do we word that?
Yeah.
So you would resolve to consider approval of the SUP upon receiving additional information from the applicant.
But we would have to define the additional information. Additional information, that could be so broad.
Names.
Okay, we can add those conditions, whatever.
The application needs to be complete.
With a name? Is that what you're?
You could add names, you could add, I mean, you have other conditions that you mentioned in the list.
Well, that was
Those are
part
already
of the
there.
motion. Yes, if those are already part of the motion, we're
So we would
amending
just-
the motion to then consider, That-
In that aspect, then we would be still cutting a blank check. No, you would, because in that aspect, if you're saying that all they have to do is provide you a name, they can plug any name in there, and then at that time, they have met the conditions of the SUP by providing you a name, and at that point, it would then still be approved.
Is that correct?
And then they could still change it, is what you're saying, Connor?
Well, what I'm saying to you is if your only requirement is the name, and they give you the name, then you have to.
Can they change that name later? If they put in there XYZ and for the approval, and then later on, it's not XYZ.
Well, I think we want to try to make it so they can't continue to change the name. So if
That-
they have an LOI now, perhaps they should provide the name of the person who's actually.
And then at that time, after they provide it on the application, we can bring it up for a vote.
And I have a question. Now, are we at the point where we have to approve or deny this today? Can we defer it another? There's no time limit?
There's no time frame of when it automatically gets approved?
No, there's no time frame.
Because we talked about this last session, we talked about this session, next session would not be too long of a stretch for this application?
No, I'm not aware of any time limits involved. But to avoid any problems, you may want to, provide notice, re-advertise, that sort of thing. So there's no challenges there.
So conditions, what are we, any conditions?
What's going to change between now? What's going to change between now and next month?
Would the LOI, would there be an LOI?
They're saying they're not going to give you an LOI.
Would there be,
Gift, allow you to
clarify this?
I just need to say that we can't, by definition, we can't talk about the LOI. If there is an LOI or not an LOI, there are no details we can provide. And I think it's very unlikely we're going to be able to provide any details in a month. There may or may not be LOIs out there. We can't discuss that.
So I guess in what I'm hearing too is that by giving an opportunity to complete the application with the name, you wouldn't be able to complete that at this time?
At
Okay,
this
all right,
time.
Right. At this time, correct. Okay.
Keyword at this time.
All right. So back to, we're on our original motion that had all the stipulations as I think drafted here as an example. Yes, I know, but I'm just recapping. Then as far as having amended the motion, the maker would be the one to amend
That's right.
the motion if he chooses to do so, or we go ahead and take the vote as the motion was presented.
We'll let the motion stand.
Okay, all right. Further discussion on the motion. And of course, this is a motion to approve application 2018-002. Roll call vote, please.
No.
Lee.
No.
Danby.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Cavazos.
No.
Day.
Yes?
Back to me. And-
No.
No. No, you are out of order. No, please. I'm sorry. I chose not to cast a tie vote on the tie vote on this, so the motion fails. on this SUP 2018002. Any other draft motions that anybody wants to for this SUP? If not, we'll move on to our next one.
We cannot keep a hostage like, not doing this time and doing
Well,
other time.
they're all three separate, and we should be looking and evaluating separately, too. So this would be the Western SUP for drive-in window. So if there is no other motion on this, I will then go to our next SUP.
Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Does anyone have anything?
Go to the next one.
Anything?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. SUP 2018003, and this would be for the central location, referred to as the central restaurant. Discussion on this one. I get the feeling that they're kind of the same discussion. I don't know, maybe I'm
No, sir,
assuming something.
not in my case.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to all three, to no on all three. So they're all three separate for me.
Okay.
So
Any further discussion on this? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for the central. I see none. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve special use permit SUP 2018-003 for a drive-through restaurant at the central restaurant location in accordance with the GDP and the following conditions. The storefront of the restaurant shall face Washington Street. All four sides of the restaurant shall be finished to a standard to present aesthetically pleasing facades on all sides. Development shall be in general conformance with the GDP, including sidewalk along both sides of the main roadway. The restaurant with the drive-in shall have a minimum patio size of 150 square feet.
Motion on the floor.
Second.
Second by Councilman Day. Discussion on this motion. Roll call vote, please.
yes.
Lee,
No.
Anthe,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Cavazos,
No.
Day.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, we're on to 2018004, and this is referred to as the Eastern SUP Drive-In.
Mayor, I make a motion to deny SUP 2018-004 for a drive-through restaurant at the Eastern Restaurant location in accordance with the GDP.
I second the motion.
By Councilman Bond. Discussion on this motion. So this will be for denial of this SUP. Further discussion on this motion? Roll call vote, please.
Shannon,
No.
Lee,
Yes.
Anthe,
No.
Edwards,
No.
Cavazos,
Yes.
Day.
No.
Motion fails.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
No, it
No.
failed.
Motion
We-
failed.
Yeah, we have 2 yeses and 4 nos. Motion failed for the denial. Entertain another motion?
Can I just also,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go on, please.
Am I allowed to say a few
Please.
words?
No, absolutely.
So on this map, don't forget that there is other possible restaurants. So do we really need the additional drive-throughs, drive-ins in addition to those? I
Those
mean,
are by right uses. Without a drive-through, it's a by right use. They can put anything that's in their by right list
but it could
in
also
any
be.
of those sites.
No, I know, but it could also be a restaurant where they've listed restaurant, retail, medical. So what I'm saying is, if we have those restaurants, do we really need the additional drive-throughs? Is what I'm trying to make everybody just think about for a second.
Okay, other
You can disagree,
discussion?
but
I still don't think the application is complete, as we spoke about on the Western, it's not complete, to the fact where I think it's ready, to be approved.
Okay, understood. I'll entertain a motion if someone would like to present. We've already had one for the denial.
I make a motion to approve special use permit SUP 2018-004 for a drive-through restaurant at the Eastern Restaurant. Location in accordance with the GDP and following conditions. The storefront of the restaurant shall face Washington Street. All four sides of the restaurant shall be finished to a standard to present aesthetically pleasing facades on all sides. Development shall be in general conformance with the GDP, including sidewalks along both sides of the main roadway. A restaurant with drive-in shall have a minimum patio size of 150 square feet.
Did we just vote this one?
No,
No, it's another one.
we're on the eastern, we're the one right beside Giuseppe's.
Got it.
And this is with the patio and as stated with the conditions. Motion on the floor,
I will second the motion.
second. Discussion.
We're cutting a blank check. This application's not complete.
But we can address these things at site plan.
You don't have the limitations you think we have at site plan. You really don't. This is the time that you do it now is in the SUP. That's why. That's why it can be addressed at a site plan after the application is complete. But we're really tying our hands by it. in my opinion.
Any further discussion on the motion on the floor?
If there's a modification you'd recommend, I am listening.
They can come back once they have everything complete, whether it be once they have their applicant that they want to put on the application. At that time, we can look at it. I would even be willing to waive the $1,500 fee as long as it's legally allowed, so they wouldn't have to resubmit another SUP in that aspect.
Is that,
Obviously, we're not here to keep collecting fees, but in that aspect, I mean, if they have the application and they have a letter of intent, again, we utilize Mr. Shannon's experience as with the profession he's in. This is the profession that I sit in, and I'm telling you, this is something that we can handle at the site plan phase. And we're cutting a blank check.
And we can do that and waive the fee?
I would have to talk to
I believe it's waivable, but I need to check to make sure.
Because I would agree there. There's been a lot of due diligence on Melodon, in my opinion, and everything. And I don't want to keep dragging this through, but I would agree with Councilman Leak on that.
Okay.
My thing is what, so if they come, say tomorrow they come and say, I have Starbucks coming in.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just pick it out, whatever, Starbucks. You're going to approve that.
No, ma'am, I would have to look at the application and look at it completely to be able to come up with, do my due diligence. There's not a name that you could put on an application to where I would be able to say yes to, and there's not a name you could put on an application.
Okay, so
that
then
would
there
say no
has to be other things on the application that you're looking for besides the
Well, ma'am,
name.
The reason why we can't say that is because then we could possibly be sued if we said that we're sitting here trying to make.
No,
this
I
SUP
understand that, but
based
that's-
off what person's going to come in and put their name.
But
on
what
the
are the
application.
other things that are missing on the application?
Have we gone through our zoning ordinance? So if we all take attention to our zoning ordinance, page 42 of our zoning, which is section 58, 1.7, special uses. Does it meet all of these special uses in regards to paragraph D? A special use shall be approved if it's, and it lists everything on there. So if they list everything, they go through each item on that under that zoning ordinance, and at that time that the application is complete, and we would be able to look at that. In my opinion,
Well, then why wasn't this brought to the applicant before, if these were concerns that we had? I feel like that was,
at the last meeting, I made the motion to defer due to the fact that I felt like the application was incomplete. And I'm not here to spoon feed the applicant and tell them every single thing that they need to check off on an SUP.
Further discussion on the motion on the floor. Seeing none? Only if it's okay with the dais. Hold on a second.
There's a motion on the floor now.
Okay.
Yep, unfortunately not, sir. I'd need a unanimous consent to consider someone.
You know, I think Melodon, the developer, I do not deny the risk. Connor has been on the town council for a long time. I respect his opinion and experience. From what I have seen, again, from my limited experience, I'm comfortable with the motion as it is.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Mayor, if you could just clarify what the motion is so that everyone who's voting knows what they're voting for.
Sure. Do you want to just reread, because it's off of, I think, a draft motion, is it?
Do we just reread it? Sure.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve special use permit, SUP 2018-004, for a drive-through restaurant at the Eastern Restaurant located in accordance with the GDP and following conditions. The storefront of the restaurant shall face Washington Street. All four sides of the restaurant shall be finished to a standard to present aesthetically pleasing facades on all sides. Development shall be in general conformance with the GDP, including sidewalks along both sides of the main roadway. Restaurant with drive-in shall have a minimum patio size of 150 square feet.
So motion to approve. We had a second, correct? Yes, second. Okay, Madhu. Right. So further discussion on the motion. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Lee,
No.
Canty,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Cavazos,
No.
Day.
Yes.
Motion passes. Correct? Yep. Okay. Other business. Again, thank you all for listening and be a part of this. Yes, so we have 1, 2, 3 resolutions here. Actually, we have more than that, right? Yep. A little bit of housekeeping on Resolution 201810 for the rezoning application.
Can we just make the resolution, or can we just make a motion for the resolution? We don't have to read the full thing. Is that okay, Mayor?
I think it's passable, yeah.
Excellent. I make a motion to approve resolution 2018-010
Can I just add that as presented?
as presented.
Yeah, okay.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor. Discussion on this motion? Roll call vote, please.
Shannon,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Canty,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Cavazos,
Yes.
Day.
Yes.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 2018-011 as presented.
I second.
Second by Shannon. Discussion on this motion? Roll call vote, please.
Shannon,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Canty,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Cavazos,
Yes.
Day.
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 2018-012 as presented.
I second.
Second by Shannon. Discussion on this motion? Roll call vote, please.
Shannon,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Canty,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Cavazos,
Yes.
Day.
Yes.
All right. Now,
13. would
Where
be-
was 10?
yeah.
Those were the proffers.
And 11 was for the building night.
Yeah. 13 goes out. Because that was denied. Or it died.
So we have the, we can take a short 5-minute recess for a second here. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, and we're back. So a little bit of housekeeping on, we've got, I think, 2 resolutions that will probably need some inserts.
Okay. Let me find my. Got it.
Mayor, I make a motion to deny resolution 2018-014.
Actually, we don't even actually have to, well, okay. We can, if we,
You already voted.
yeah, yeah.
No, we voted on the SUP, but this
Yeah,
is
but
a
we don't even have
resolution to approve.
We don't have to vote on this resolution, in other words. This resolution could.
So we don't need these? So we're going to pass?
Particular one, because that one did not pass.
No, I'm
13
talking about,
didn't pass.
I'm talking about 014, which is SUP
central.
003, which is the central.
All right, so I'll go ahead and entertain your motion to deny 2018014.
13, we denied.
It failed because it was a split vote,
3-3.
Never.
and he chose not to.
That's the one next to Chick-fil-A.
Right.
Now we're looking at the central one
Central one that passed.
that passed.
So you're making a motion to deny it. Let me see if I've got a second. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, in that case, I second the motion.
All right, so we've got a second for discussion. Discuss.
Last chance effort for me to plead the case, ladies and gentlemen. We're writing a blank check, and I'll leave it at that. I think we beat this horse dead, but it's not too late.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? All right, just so we're clear, this is the denial of this resolution 2018014 Central Restaurant
As presented.
as presented. Shelley? Roll call.
Shannon?
No.
Leek?
Yes.
Anthony?
No.
Edwards?
No.
Cavazos?
Yes.
Day.
No.
Okay. I'll entertain another motion.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2018-014 as written, along with inserting the following conditions. The storefront of the restaurant shall face Washington Street. All four sides of the restaurant shall be finished to a standard to present aesthetically pleasing facades on all sides. Development shall be in general conformance with the GDP, including sidewalks along both sides of the main roadway. The restaurant with the drive-in shall have a minimum patio size of 150 square feet.
I second.
Motion on the floor has been seconded by Councilman Shannon. Discussion on this motion. For the record, anyone? Okay. Have roll call vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Leek?
No.
Anthony?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Cavazos?
No.
Day.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes, resolution 2018014. Okay, we have one other resolution, 2018-015.
I make a motion to approve that resolution as written, inserting the conditions, the storefront and the restaurant shall face Washington Street. All four sides of the restaurant shall be finished to a standard to present aesthetically pleasing facades on all sides. Development shall be in general conformance with the GDP, including sidewalks along both sides of the main roadway. Restaurant with the drive-in shall have a minimum patio size of 150 square feet.
Motion on the floor. Second by Councilman Shannon. Discussion on this motion.
Can we just make a friendly amendment just to state the resolution name? I know the mayor stated it, but resolution 2018-015.
Okay. So amended.
Discussion on this motion. Roll call.
Yes.
No.
Anthony?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Cavazos?
No.
Day.
Yes.
Motion passes, 2018-015. Okay. Thank you all for,
Why don't we like to do this one?
because it did not, that motion, or excuse me, the SUP didn't.
It's not an SUP, this is the rezoning of the townhouses.
I'm
Did you guys
sorry.
not have that one?
No, I thought, did we do
10?
10?
We did 10.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
we
did.
did.
We did,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry. That's fine.
We did.
It was the Western, is my understanding. Correct?
Making sure.
Great, okay. Updates, anything? If not, I'll give an update. Today, we received a check for $21,230.02 that will be used for the streetscape project that the Haymarket Historic
Commission.
Foundation has sent over to the town, that will be turning it over to the attorney to look at the way that we can actually use this and accept this money. But that was good news.
Amazing.
Yep, so we're looking at plantings and things and plaques and all the things that make our street nice, walkable, and we'll continue to do that. Don't think anything else update. We did get good news about the Copper Cricket building. That was repaired, a very minimal cost considering the damage that was involved. So they are back in the business and using the facility there. Yep.
It's gonna close for a few days.
Yep, great, okay. Nothing else for updates there. Councilmember time. Councilman Shannon, you're up first.
If I didn't have a sense of duty to our great little town, I would not be sitting up here, because this is not fun. It's just not. Because any way we go, we please some, we don't please some. I do what I think. I cast my votes based on my feelings, what I think is best for this town. Like I said, and it's not fun, but I have that sense of duty. And I look forward to serving my 2 years. I do have one question. I don't know if it would, to bring it up. I don't remember if it was Councilman Leek or who. I know Councilman Madhu Panthea and I just talked about it. Has Meladon checked to see whether there can be another exit only off of that property onto the interstate? Was that looked at?
Yes, absolutely.
Was that you that brought that up to me, or what? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they did look at it. They went to the VDOT, and they said that because it was so close to the traffic light, that it was, it couldn't happen. It's only really because of so yes, that was absolutely.
Did they get that in writing?
I will absolutely forward you the email.
Okay, I'm saying so they got
And
something in
I would-
writing from VDOT.
I would love for you to follow up and check that out.
Well, and
Yes.
it's not under my purview. Our traffic engineers know what they're doing. I forwarded some information today to Miss Emily there on the crosswalk, the possibility of a crosswalk down by the park and everything, and there's a lot of issues there, but I forwarded that to Emily today and for her review and all. But yeah, if you have any, I'd like to know, I have no reason to question their integrity there, but I would like to know at VDOT who they talked to.
I would love to send it to you.
So other than that, my apologies for being late tonight, duty called, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Understand. Councilman Leek.
I have the utmost respect for everyone at this dais. And the best thing about us as a group of folks is that we can disagree. We can go to 3-3 votes, but we can still walk out of this assembly hall and still be friends at the end of the day. And I hope no one ever takes anything personal at this dais, because nothing ever there is personal. We're all speaking to our constituents that everyone at this dais represents. And some folks hear some things, some folks hear other things. But at the end of the day, we're all looking out for what's best for the town. And I hope no one, no matter how heated an argument can get, or a discussion, I don't want to use argument, I want to use discussion, a discussion can get at this dais. I have the utmost respect for everyone, and I continue to have the utmost respect even after that. I think that's the first time that we've actually had some real big back and forth, and it shows that all of us don't always vote the same way every single time. So many folks say that we all vote the same way and that we all already know what we're going to do before we get in here, and it's so not true. I mean, this was a perfect example. I mean, going to a 3-3 vote, that's why within our state code it has that the mayor can break the vote if he wants to, or he can choose not to. I mean, those are the beautiful thing about our democracy, and so I just want to make sure everyone knows that I have the utmost respect for everyone at this dais, and I hope no one takes anything ever personally, and I'm glad that we all can be friends afterwards and be able to walk out and see each other and still be able to talk on a daily basis. Thoughts with the McCain family, Senator John McCain passing, and our thoughts on the mayor. Thank you for allowing us to do that moment of silence for him after the pledge. Chief and staff, Chief, please let your officers know, and staff, Jerry, You all are doing such a great job. We are so blessed to have you all and to be able to work alongside with you all on a daily basis. We really are so blessed that so many other towns, I'm sure, are jealous of the camaraderie that we have here within this building, and it has a lot to do with the leaders that sit there with Chief and Jerry and bringing everyone together. And it's awesome to be able to have everyone come in and feel like we're a true family, yet we are able to get business done, and we operate as a town and a government. Two other things that I want to bring up that obviously were brought up at last meeting in regards to schools and overpopulation, and I hope folks be able to take the time to go out and look at. So as folks have probably been driving down 66 and 29 and Heathcote Boulevard there, we've seen a mass clearing here recently. So that clearing is a portion. I'm not sure what's going on in that little portion that's cleared there, but there's about 191 acres that is actually being looked to be rezoned from A1 and M2 down to PMD, which is Planned Mixed Use Development. I believe the county has it. And they're looking to put in over 1,000 homes and looking to put in about, I think it's about 250 to 300,000 square feet worth of retail and medical and office space. So to talk about that, and unfortunately no one stayed this evening except for our one good citizen and constituent here. Hopefully these folks will go out and speak at these school meetings as they came out and spoke at the last meeting. But for that one home, that's going to put, they estimated 255 elementary kids, 110 middle school kids, and 140 high school kids. Now this is going through the rezoning process, and it hasn't been voted on yet, so there is still time to be able to change this. But as we were looking at things and looking at the difference between upzoning and downzoning, for instance, where we downzoned a parcel here to that R2. But in this instance, these are, the A1s are upzoning, M2, there can be discussion on is that actually a downzoning or is that an upzoning, because that's heavy industrial, or excuse me, light industrial there in the Prince William County zoning ordinance. So with that being said, that's going to have a huge impact on our schools here locally. Now that's outside of our 1 mile radius, so for folks who want to or try to say, well, why didn't the town tell us sooner? Well, that's because it's outside the 1 mile radius, so they don't have to tell us. So that's something that's coming up. And then also, I think is it called Woodford Reserve or Woodford Reserve down 15?
Woodburn.
Woodford, I was just thinking, it's been a long night. Yeah, it's been a long night. No, but that's about, I think, 140 acres roughly, and that's going to be adding 32 elementary, 17 middle, and 24 high school for a total of 73 there.
What side is that?
That's down 15. And again, that's actually outside of our 1 mile range there.
But obviously impacting the schools.
Yeah, impacting the schools. So as everyone came out and hopefully folks still listened to the meeting even though they went home, hopefully they go and they look at that. So those rezoning numbers, so for the first one there at 6629 is rezoning 2018-00008, and the other one is rezoning 2015-20003. So hopefully folks still go out and speak at those hearings, or even through the county's website. You don't have to be present, but you can submit a comment to be entered in through the Prince William County's Planning Commission website. So hopefully folks will take the time, as they did, to speak to us, also speak to everyone else. For that, for in total, I mean, that's about 575 kids that'll be added in. So that's a huge impact, a fraction of what is happening over here. So I know a lot of folks were saying that was going to be another commuter lot, but that is not. And so for give you a little bit of a perspective of what they're actually clearing. So they'll be clearing the remainder of trees between 66 and 29 there, all the way up to University. And then they'll also be clearing on the other side of University, going all the way back to almost towards the battlefield. So that's a lot of trees that they'll be removing and taking down. So just be on the lookout for that, and hopefully folks will take the time, as they did with us, to go to the county and share their concerns.
Okay. All right. Mr. Panty.
Yes, sir. Echoing both Councilman Shannon and Connor. And I want to add something about the Walter Robinson Lane across the street. Have you hear anything about, or they are selling it, they are rebuilding it?
I had 2 different people come in and speak with me about that back in the fall and winter time. I haven't heard from them since about February. They were looking at buying it off of the person who currently owns it. One of the individuals who approached me lives there and actually grew up and wanted to see the project finished as it should be. But again, I haven't heard anything since about February.
Okay. Other than that, staff and police chief, we had a very nice ride out of the other night, so we like to do again. So let us know, we will do it. Other than that, I have no comments. No news means good news.
There you go. Vice Mayor.
Something that was missed earlier, I spoke to Chief. There was the first day of school. The police department did a great job. They visited all our schools. They went out. The officers, were there greeting the kids on the first day, making them feel safe. And I just wanted to thank the chief for that. As well as on the first day of school, unfortunately, there was a lost child who got off at the wrong bus stop. And due to the quick thinking of Sergeant Shaver and Officer Davis, it was remedied so quickly, and it could have turned out badly. This child had special needs, and but our officers were right there, and they took care of it, and they should be commended for that, because the parents could not have been more grateful. That this had a great outcome, and our officers were so quick to respond. So I just want to thank him for that.
I also want to thank you, Chief, and I want to say I saw something on Facebook that someone wrote about how when they drive through town, they feel like so safe because they always see the police officers somewhere in town. And I just can't agree more that you all are doing such a great job. And also what Susan said, I was so excited to see them welcoming the students on the first day of school, especially after the recent shooting in Jacksonville. It's just at the top of our mind all of the time. So it makes me so proud to live here and to see you all working so hard. And thank you to the staff for working so hard for Haymarket Day. I'm so excited. I feel like it's going to be the best one we've ever had. And thank you to the council. I really appreciate everybody listening to everyone's opinions and being supportive and considerate of them. So thank you so much.
Councilman Day, any thoughts?
I just want to say I want to echo what Connor said, that I highly respect everyone on the town council and the mayor. Really glad to be working with everybody, and I highly respect everyone's opinion here. And I just want to say that I know that everybody is voting and based upon the best interests of Haymarket, what they believe is the best interests of Haymarket. I know that that's true. We are making the decisions as best we can with the information that's available to us. And, we're not perfect, but we're doing the very best we can. And I highly respect everybody's opinion and, hard work. And we are all hoping and doing our best to guide this development to the best direction for the town of Haymarket that we can.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you all have said about everything that I was thinking as well. But going back, I guess, to Haymarket Day, I think the numbers are coming in. If we I know we had to close the parade early. Obviously, we were maxed out. Unfortunately, some people didn't get in that would like to, but we did our best to accommodate everyone that came and applied early. And of course, it happens the same day every year, so, but as far as our numbers for vendors, I think
We are at capacity at 200 as well.
Sweet,
So
right.
That closed on Friday, and as of 4:30 on Friday, we had reached capacity with our vendors. And then also happy to announce last week we had 3 additional sponsors come in, so we're at 11 sponsors and $17,000 there. So.
Wonderful, great.
Great.
And there again, just to reiterate, this is cost neutral to the town. Our sponsorships come in, the bills get paid out, and the residents get to enjoy all this for nothing as far as, yeah. Okay, we do have just a little bit of housekeeping as far as a very quick executive session. So if you could be so kind to bring us into executive.
Sure.
Yep.
I move that council convene in closed session pursuant to Code of Virginia 2.23711A for personnel matters, and Code of Virginia Section 2.23711A, subsection 29, for the purpose of discussing the term and scope of an attorney's contract. The discussion in open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, for which the Virginia Freedom of Information Act permits discussion in closed session.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll be back shortly.
Mayor, I'm assuming you don't want me to join you in this closed session. I'm assuming you don't want me to join you in this closed session. It's all right.
All right, thank you for waiting. And we're back. If you could be so kind and bring us back into open session.
Sure. I move that council certify that in closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed under provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion on the motion. I think you do a roll call vote on this.
Shannon?
Yes.
Leak?
Yes.
Banthy?
Yes.
Leak?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Rossos?
Yes.
Day?
Yes.
Great. Okay, closing thoughts or comments. There was something. Bond.
Oh, yes.
Yes, sorry.
I wanted to tell everyone, since we'll all be at Haymarket Day, to just share with your loved ones and friends and also with each other to keep an eye out, and if you see anything suspicious, to make sure that you say something to each other and to the police officers that are there, since there's going to be so many people there. That's always in the back of my mind, that people take advantage of that. So let's all make sure that we're
Then
really
say
paying
something.
attention and looking for anything that seems out of the ordinary.
Agreed.
Great. And one other comment too. So you mentioned about the one missing child off the Prince William County school bus. Chief, you can just grab the mic real quick a second. But there was actually another officer. There's a second incident that happened, and our officer went en route and actually stopped the school bus. But I'm not sure if you have all the details on that or not. No. Okay, yeah. So that's okay. So the officer actually went en route over to Heathcote, to near Harris Teeter, where he was last seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just going that extra mile and going out of the jurisdiction to look for the safety of that kid, that was an awesome thing. So, yeah. All right. So I entertain that famous motion.
Just want to
What's
say
that
it's not too late to change any votes because the meeting hasn't ended yet.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it.